Hello everyone, welcome to our Zohar reading for this week. Hope everyone can hear me well. First, before we start, we're going to watch and listen to a clip of Rav explaining to us what we're reading, why we're reading it, setting our intention for the next half hour.
2,000 years ago, this is where the Kabbalists used to sit, in a mysterious cave in the Galilee. This is where they've reached a state where they could express themselves, in the Book of Zohar. What did Rashbi and his students find out? Through the force of those 10 friends that could come together in such a way that there was nothing that could separate them. And so the Creator could dwell among them, could reveal himself to them. What is the secret of the Book of Zohar? It's not a book. It's a revelation of the upper force. And therefore, for us, this book is the source of the godly force that is going to correct us and the entire human flaw, and that will elevate us to the purpose of creation. I'm glad that I've been born in such a generation when it is permitted to disclose the wisdom of truth. Yuda Ashlag, Bala Sulam.
Okay, we're going to begin, and we will be reading The Hidden Light. Item 348. And God said, "Let there be light." This is the light that the Creator created in the beginning, and the light of our eyes, the light that the Creator showed to Adam Rishon, by which he saw from the end of the world to its end, the light that the Creator showed to David, who was praising and saying about it, "How abundant is your goodness, which you have hidden for those who fear you." It is the light that the Creator showed to Moses, and by which he saw from Gilad to Dan, meaning the whole of the land of Israel. Item 349. When the Creator saw that the 3 generations of wicked would arise, the generation of Enoch, the generation of the flood, and the generation of Babylon, he hid the light so those wicked would not use it. The Creator gave the light to Moses, who was using it during the 3 months that remained for him from the days of his Ibur, since he was born after 6 months and 1 day, and had 3 months remaining of the 9 months of Ibur when he was not in Ibur. This is why it is written, "And she hid him 3 months." We learn that the Egyptians thought that she would give birth to him after 9 months as usual, so they were not looking for Moses prior to the 9 months, and she could hide him for any person for whom a candle is lit over his head during his Ibur. He watches and sees from the end of the world to its end. The special thing about Moses is that even after he was born, the Creator still gave him that light, meaning only that time while he was still meant to be in Ibur, which is 3 months from 6 months, and 1 day through the complete 9 months. But after 9 months, the Creator took the light from him. Item 350. After 3 months, when he had nothing left of his days of Ibur, he came before Pharaoh. Pharaoh's daughter found him on the bank of the Nile and brought him to Pharaoh. And then the Creator took all the light from him until he stood on Mount Sinai for the reception of Torah. Then the Creator gave him back the light. He was working with the light all of his days, and the children of Israel could not approach him until he placed a cover over his face, as it is written, and they were afraid to come near him. He cloaked in the light as with a talit, as it is written, covered with light as with a garment. 351. Let there be light, and there was light. Anything about which let there be is written applies to this world and to the next world. They are two worlds, Bina and Malchut. Bina is called the next world, and Malchut is this world. All who are higher in merit are also regarded as earlier in time. This is why the next world is considered earlier, past, as it is Bina who precedes Malchut. This world is considered later, in the future, since Malchut is later than Bina. The words "and there was" contain two meanings, since "let there be" means the future, and the vav at the beginning of the word makes it past tense. Hence, there are both past and future in it, which are the next world and this world. This is why it is said that anything about which "let there be" is written applies to this world and to the next world, since both are implied in the words "and there was." The light that the Creator created in the work of creation illuminated from the end of the world to the end of the world and was concealed. 352. Why was the light concealed? It was so the wicked of the world would not enjoy it. So the worlds do not enjoy the light because of the wicked, and it is concealed for the righteous. As it is written, a light is sown for the righteous. At that time, the worlds will be sweetened by the appearance of that light, and they will all be one. And until the day when Bina, called the next world, is disclosed, that light will be hidden and concealed. 353. That light, which is revealed from the next world, comes out from the darkness that was engraved in the carvings of the Most Hidden, meaning in the carvings of Binah, who is the next world, in the dot of Shuruk in her. It is so because when Binah rises and unites in Rosh Arihantin, in which there is Chokhmah without Chasadim, the darkness comes out in Zat of Binah, since Zat of Binah is incorporation of the Zon in Binah. Because they are primarily from Chasadim, they cannot receive the light of Chokhmah without clothing of Chokhmah, and darkness is made in them. Finally, a hidden trail was made of the hidden light to the darkness below, which is the screen of Hirik, and then the light is in it, meaning the light that is hidden in the worlds is revealed. It is so because in Binah, the level of Hasidim emerges on screen of phase 1 in Zon that rose to Bina. Then the Chokhmah dresses in Hasidim and can illuminate. That screen in Zon is the Nukva, because it carries the screen of Zaranpin. It follows that through the screen of the Nukva, the Mochin illuminated in Bina, for were it not for the level of Hasidim that emerged on her screen, Bina would have stayed in the dark because of the dot of Shuruk. Thus, it is considered that the screen of the Nukva was engraved and made it into a trail that comes out of the light that is hidden in Bina to the darkness in the Nukva herself. By this trail, the hidden light extends from Bina to the Nukva, because the lower, who complements the upper one, is itself rewarded with the full measure that is complemented for the upper one. That light, which appears from the next world, was engraved in the carvings of the Most Hidden, until it was carved and extended by one hidden trail from that hidden light that illuminates in Binah. The light extends and comes by a trail that was erected by a screen of the dot of Hirik of the Nukva to the darkness below, the darkness of the Nukva herself, and from the Nukva the light appears in all the worlds. The darkness below is the darkness called night, the Nukva of Zaranpin. 354. This is why they interpreted what is written. He uncovers deep things out of darkness. If the meaning of the verse is that the deep things appear out of a hidden darkness, the darkness of Bina, then we see that all those upper Kitarim in Bina are hidden. This is why the text calls them deep things. Thus, what is uncovers deep things if they do not appear at all? Rather, all those upper hidden things appear only out of that darkness, the night, Nukva. All those deep and hidden things that come out of the thought, Bina, and the voice, Zaranpin, takes them. They do not appear until the word reveals them. A word is speech, Malchut, since Zaranpin in Mochin of Gadlut is called voice, and Malchut in Mochin of Gadlut is called speech. Explanation. Those Gar of Binah that become hidden with the ascent of Malchut to her are called deep things. Likewise, the upper Kitarim are hidden. It is written about them, he uncovers deep things out of darkness. Those Gar reappear from the darkness in the Dat of Shuruk, from which the Chokhmah extends. The text does not refer merely to the hidden darkness of Binah at the Dat of Shuruk in her, since disclosure is through illumination of Chokhmah, and although Binah who receives Chokhmah does not receive for herself, but for Malchut, while she herself remains forever in covered Chesedim, for he desires mercy, then how it is written about her uncovers the deep things out of darkness. Thus, does the darkness not appear there at all? Rather, it refers to the darkness of the night, the darkness of the Nukva, called night, who receives darkness from the Dat of Shuruk of Bina. It is written of her, he uncovers deep things out of darkness, since once she receives Chassidim from Zaranpin, the Chokhmah, who was in her darkness on the left, at the Dat of Shuruk, for lack of clothing of Chassidim, now appears and comes out of the darkness, clothing in the Chassidim that she obtained. This is the unification of thought, voice, and speech. 1. A thought is Binah's Mochin of Gadlut. 2. A voice is Zaranpin in Gadlut. 3. Speech is the Nukva in Gadlut. That is, when Zon received the thought, Mochin of Gadlut, a coupling between them is made in voice and speech, and as with a corporeal person, whose thought is not recognized before it has closed in voice and speech, and also not in a voice, but only in speech, so here the illumination of Chokhmah appears neither in thought, Binah, nor in voice, Zaranpin, but only in speech, the Nukva of Zaranpin. Thus, the emanation of Mochin for all their details comes out primarily in thought, Binah, and the thought, with all that is in it, dresses in a voice, Zaranpin, and from the voice they are all imparted to the speech, and all that was in the thought appears through the speech. We will refresh our intention with another clip of Rav.
Is there, could it be that during the reading that at some point we put it forth effort and at other times the Zohar pushes us along?
Well, first of all, you need to understand where you are. You know, if you look at an old film, you looked at an old film once, right? You know, like something from 30 years ago, 40 years ago. You see how naive people were, how their acting was different, and what they did back then was a real thing for them. They thought that they are, really serious about what they're doing, meaning the actors and their acting was good. The people were different people. If you look at 200 or 300 years ago, you'll see things even simpler and more primitive. if you would look at all peoples of the world, say 2,000 years ago, what would you find? How do they live? Almost like still on the trees. I'm talking about Europe and these areas, it's like almost barbarians, you know. Think about the medieval times, etc. And then there are people who write these things that you read here 2,000 years ago. And this is everything, you know, science, philosophy, perception of the world, perception of reality. Even if, say, between us here, a person like that would sit here, let's say, so you would see, you know, who is this person compared to you? So you're given a contact here with something above our world, with the operation system. So that operation system, these forces, these souls that wrote to you about this, you are like a small baby, and you want to grow with them by being in their hands. So you want to rise, then raise your prayer, raise the requests, cry. It doesn't matter like you're asking how much I understand, how much I don't, which part of it is me, and so on. It doesn't matter. Whatever happens to you is what you deserve, and you don't set up your own situation. But from your state, try to understand where you are, whose hands you can be at, and go there.
Alright, we're going to continue. Item 355. The speech, which is the unification of thought, voice, and speech, is called Shabbat, since Shabbat is the Nukva in Mochin of Gadlut, the letters Shin, Bet, Tav. Shin implies Gar, Bet, Tav are the Nukva. Because the Shabbat is called speech, it is forbidden to discuss secular matters in Shabbat, for they blemish the great coupling of voice and speech, because that speech of Shabbat must rule in the world, and not the speech of weekdays, which are the katnut of the Nukva. The speech, Nukva in Mochin of Gadlut, who comes from the side of darkness, from the dat of Shuruk, reveals deep things within her. That is, it is written about her, uncovers deep things from the darkness, since the God of Chokhmah appear within her. This is implied from the words from the darkness, which means coming from the side of the darkness. The essence of the darkness is in Bina, and the darkness in Nukva is received from the darkness of Bina. And since it is written, uncovers deep things from the darkness, and it is not written, reveals deep things in the darkness, it means that it is about the Nukva who comes from the darkness of Bina. This is why it is written from the darkness, and not in the darkness itself, which is in Bina. 356. Thus, if the merit of the darkness is so great, why is it written, and God divided between the light and the darkness? Meaning that he divided between the importance of the light and the lowliness of the night. Rather, first the light elicited the quality of day, and the darkness the quality of night. Then it is written, and God divided between the light and the darkness, dividing between the great importance of day and lowliness of night. Afterwards he connected the day and the night, which are zon, together, and they became one, as it is written, and there was evening, and there was morning, one day. Then it is written, uncovers deep things from the darkness, and the merit of the darkness grew extensively. And the word divided is written of the time of the exile, when they are separated from each other. Then it is written divided, as light excels over darkness, and likewise prior to the coupling. 357. Until the coupling, the male was light, and the nukva darkness. Then Zon united as one, to be one. The male Partsuf was built from the right line, Hasidim, and the female Partsuf was built from the left line, Chochmah, without Hasidim, darkness, since the Chochmah does not illuminate without clothing of Hasidim. In what are they separated, for which it is written about them, divided between the light and the darkness? To recognize between the light and the darkness, the degrees initially part from one another. Then the merits and demerits of the light in itself are recognized, as well as the merits and demerits of the darkness in itself. Although there is a big advantage to the light over the darkness, it is still devoid of illumination of Chokhmah. Likewise, although there is merit to the darkness, for there is illumination of Chokhmah in it, the Chokhmah doesn't shine in it for lack of clothing of Hasidim. Therefore it is dark from both light of Hasidim and from light of Chokhmah. And once the merits and demerits of each one separately were thoroughly recognized, they made a coupling, and both became as one, because they made a coupling since they need one another. Thus the light of Zaranpin is complete only after it is included in the darkness of the Nukva, for then the light is complemented with illumination of Chokhmah as well, and the darkness of Nukva is complete only after it is included in the light, since it obtains the Chasidim from it. Chokhmah clothes in Chasidim and is able to illuminate. Although they made a coupling and became one, they are still essentially different from one another, because one is Chasidim and the other is Chokhmah. But despite the difference between them being so great, they became one and are incorporated as one, for it is written, and there was evening and there was morning one day, which means that they became one. We still have time, friends, so we're going to continue with the next article. If my covenant is not day and night, one. 358. Rabbi Shimon says, the world was created over the covenant, the Nukva in Katnut, and it exists. Biriyah is Katnut, existence is Gadlut, the Mochin of God is the Nukva existence, as it is written, if my covenant is not day and night, I have not appointed the ordinances of heaven and earth. A covenant is a righteous, the foundation of the world, remember. Rabbi Yossi interprets the verse, and there was evening and there was morning one day. The unification is in the words, uncovers deep things from the darkness, which is the darkness of Malchut, night. Because Malchut is the carrier of the screen of Hirik, it follows that the Mochin appear only through the Hirik. The Mochin also appear only through her darkness. It therefore follows that day and night became one, that both are equal causes in the elicitation of the Mochin, and there was evening and there was morning one day. Rabbi Yitzchak interprets the verse, and there was evening and there was morning one day, to mean the incorporation of the two lines, right and left, in one another. The day is the right line, and the night is the left line, and they are incorporated in one another. And there was evening and there was morning one day. Rabbi Shimon interpreted it to mean the unification of the screen of Hirik, like Rabbi Yossi, though not on the Malchut, but only on Yesod. It is so because the screen of Hirik is shared between Yesod and Malchut, for the correction of the screen is considered Malchut in the matter of circumcision, and in the matter of keep, which is only a correction of the vessels. But the Mochin that emerged on the screen are regarded as Yesod, remember, and in the matter of exposing, the disclosure of Mochin of Gar. This is why Rabbi Shimon said that the word Nukva, the world, Nukva, is standing over a covenant that connects day and night, zone, as one. As it is written, if my covenant is not day and night, I have not appointed the ordinances of heaven and earth. The ordinances of heaven means that Mochin extending out of the upper Eden. If my covenant is not day and night, meaning were it not for Yesod, who connects day and night as one, which are Zon, through disclosure of the Mochin in the screen of Hirik. The ordinances of heaven and earth are the Mochin of God extending from Eden, which is Bina that becomes Chochmah. I have not appointed, for without it there would be no presence of Mochin and Zon, which are called heaven and earth. 359. It is written, and the sound of those who divide flocks among the watering places, where they shall recount the righteous deeds of the Lord, the righteous deeds of his peasantry in Israel. Then the people of the Lord went down to the gates. The sound of those who divide flocks means the sound of Jacob, since those who divide flocks means, as it is written, like the middlemen. All the Muhin depend on Yesod, as it is the screen of Hirik, as it is written, the sound of those who divide, the voice of Jacob, since Jacob is the Feret, deciding between the two lines, right and left, which are called here those who divide, as they are two halves of the degree. The right and left of something are its two halves, and when Tiferet extends the level of Chassidim on the screen of Hirik, by which it decides between the two halves, the God are drawn. Among the watering places means that Tiferet sits among those who draw out water above, since Tiferet, Jacob, Zeranpin, goes up to Bina and there decides with his screen of Hirik between the two lines in Bina, the two dots, Holam, Shuruk, and Bina. Holam is Chassidim, right, Shuruk is Chochmah, left, and the voice of Jacob decides and includes them in one another, and they are completed by one another. Those two dots, Holam, Shuruk, and Bina, are called those who draw out water above, since they include all the Mochin and Bina, and Zeranpin journeys on two sides, and right and in left, Holam Shuruk, including them within him, because he decides between right and left and includes them in one another. By that, the wholeness of both of them is revealed, since now there are Chochmah and Chassidim on the right, and Chochmah and Chassidim on the left, and therefore Zeranpin himself is rewarded with those Mochin of the two sides of Bina. It is so because the rule is that anything that the lower one causes to be added in the upper one, it is rewarded with that full amount that is added in the upper one as well, since it is rewarded with them and includes them within it. Therefore, Zeranpin includes those three lines, Chagat. And now, friends, we will conclude with another clip of Rav Laitman.
When a child grows up, it takes years, which means months and weeks and days and hours and minutes and moments of gradual growth. This is how it is. It takes time. We think that entering the spiritual world is something that happens in a flash. The 20 years that we spend growing up in this world, not in order to change our nature, but just to match ourselves to this reality, which is really worthless and formless compared to spirituality. This is something we agree with, because we see that this is reality. It's impossible otherwise. But with spirituality, we think, where's the entrance? Let me in. There is a law of equivalence of form. Once you know how to use spirituality correctly, you'll be let in. You have to go through these preparations, and the Book of Zohar is here to match you to spirituality in a faster, more comfortable way. If not, you'll have to suffer to get there.
Thank you, friends, for being with us, reading the Zohar with us. Let's take this intention with us until our next meeting. Have a great day or a great night.